But do you know what? Because I've never been in a situation like that, innit? So my mum hasn't dated anyone else. My dad hasn't dated anyone else, to my knowledge. So I haven't had to speak to someone. Like my dad say to me, yo, this is my new...
No, but that's different because you're not in the same house.
No, but I'm just saying, even just that, what example I'm giving, I've never had that. My mum is my mum, my dad is my dad. I haven't had to meet no new partners. But I can imagine that some kids meeting their dad and then dad telling them, oh yeah, this is my new girlfriend or my new wife, whatever, like show respect or show love. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. No, but I can imagine there's some kids like that.
But for me, it wasn't even that.
But I think that's different though, because I feel like if my mum or dad tells me to show respect to someone, their new partner, I have to as a kid because I've got no issue. If that parent...
but you might have an issue.
No, but I can't have an issue because...
Why? You might not like the person.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
No, I'm blessed.
Oh, yeah, let's cut that out. And this. So I have kind of two views on that. I personally wouldn't beat my kids. I don't think it's something I personally think works in the way people want it to. One, when you beat your kids, you know, as much as it is about discipline, it's out of frustration. You know what I mean? Ain't no parent ever smacked their kid and they were cool and they were, you know what I mean? It's like you're frustrated. You've reached a point where you feel like this and this doesn't work. I ain't got time for that shit no more. So now I'm going to use this. And most parents used to think that it worked simply because you stopped doing things. Where you're like, no, I'm going to do that shit when you can't see it. And fear, and when you beat your kids, you're kind of dealing with fear, right? And that's why some kids turned out so bad, because the minute they're not scared anymore, there's nothing you can do. You know, there's those kids when you're like, you beat this nigga black and blue, he ain't hearing, because the minute they're not scared anymore, it's not working. So for me, I felt like with parents, as much as parents can say whatever, it's a lot of the times it's out of frustration. You're frustrated. You've reached a point where you're like, no. And that's one thing a lot of people don't want to admit. And I feel like there's different levels of it, because there's certain times where people will tell me how, you know what I mean, the meetings they would get from their parents, and you're like, that's abusive. Like there's certain things, you know, someone tells you a story and you're like...
when I think back to the beats that I got, someone could say they're abusive.
No. Someone could say.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what they are because we're not going to do that. But yeah,
You've heard it on the pod already. Acting like
there's bare things that I've said on the pod before. If I say it now, all of a sudden it goes viral. Allow me, please.
The stuff Tazer said, right? Like in comparison, some of the other stuff I've said, that's tame. In terms of, I'm talking about, you know, them beatings there where you're like, your parents are fighting you like you're an op, where that mad fisting you up in the face and stuff.
I was on the block in that.
Like that kind of stuff. That's when I was like, whoa. That for me, I feel like that's on the more extreme end of things, but there's a spectrum.
But I think it's at the end of the day, it's fear in it to regulate in it. So whether it's fear of violence, whether it's fear of letting your parents down, because a lot of people wouldn't want to do something because they're like, oh, I'll let my parents down and it will hurt them. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's still like on the spectrum of fear. There's different kinds of fear. There's the fear of violence. There's the fear of letting your parents down. I'm trying to think of other fears. But ultimately, it's fear, though, isn't it?
But we had the fear of...
Well, fear is, for me, I think fear is, it's a, you know what I mean? For me, it's a difficult one, you know what I mean? Because the problem with fear is fear goes away. And if you've never dealt with the underlying issues of why someone does something, once I'm not scared, so if let's say fear of violence, once I'm not scared of the violence, bro, what are you going to do?
No, I hear what you're saying.
And there's certain kids, bro, like, once they're not shook no more, bro, what are you doing?
Even thing, you got to remember, one of my fears was my dad basically saying to me, if you misbehave in
Nigeria.
We're going on holiday.
The minute you couldn't shit me, bro, Marvin, go on there. Don't send me, nigga, come back.
So all right, cool. So you hit year 11, yeah, and it's like, do you know what? I can't even afford to send you back because this is the year you need to kind of buckle down kind of thing. But once you start misbehaving after that,
you think man were going in first year college?
No.
What? Huh?
No, depends on certain parents, bro.
Man got shipped in college.
Brother, I know man that got dipped.
I thought it ended in year 11.
But I know man that got dipped in summer holidays, bro. Like, as in school done.
If them
and they went in college,
GCSEs,
that's 17.
If them GCSEs,
you're not 18.
brother. If them GCSEs what they're supposed to be, certain people didn't come back.
Brother.
Some people went back now.
Yeah, my thing. Mine ended in year 11. It's like that fear was gone.
My dad had to experience the worst sides of me to, you know, kind of have certain conversations. No, like proper. And again, that's why I say fear. You know what I mean? This time, my dad was scared of me. Like, and we'd never reached that point in life where, you know what I mean, where this is it. And for a very long time, we had, you know what I mean, little issues here and there, but we'd never kind of been in a situation where we bumped heads like that. And where I told my dad that I am you times 10 and I'm worse than you will ever be. Like, that's literally how it got. And when my dad realized that at that point, I did not give a damn. it was like
Okay, but is that what I'm saying is is that a luxury though? So like for KSI sitting down with his dad now, basically saying you didn't hug me, you didn't love me. Is that like a what I'm saying is that is him asking that of his dad like a luxury because the dad's like I didn't have time for that.
No, and for me the thing is I understand it
that.
because I've had that conversation with my dad where I was complaining about a lot of things where you know what I mean where you feel like yes you know what I mean I was fed, I was this, there was that, but there was a lot of things that were missing within our relationship that, you know, kind of contribute to how I am now as a person. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a luxury definitely because in the Western world, we get to have those conversations. I don't think that's a conversation I could have had with my dad from where we came from, essentially being back in Zimbabwe, essentially, because it's a little different. And growing up, I would see my dad do 80-hour weeks, you know what I mean, 60 to 80-hour weeks and stuff like that. So it was give and take. But I used to say to my dad, on the flip side, you know what I mean, a lot of the things that I did have, I would have traded for a relationship because it would have made me a different person. Because we then started butting heads, you know what I mean? I'd be rebellious, and eventually, what did we get out of it? You know what I mean? Because I'm not a well-rounded person. I'm terrible when it comes to things that deal with emotion, dealing with emotions and stuff like that, and dealing with people. I think I've said it to you where I struggle with building certain emotional attachments to people because I never had it. I would live in this house with my dad, you know what I mean? It's got everything that it needs, but there's no connection. I feel like it's just some people I live with because, you know, you feel like there's no relationship, essentially. And then you're like, cool, I was well fed, I was well looked after, I had all of these things, but it just affected me later on in life because now, cool, I'm here, I was well fed, but I struggle to build relationships with people. What does that mean for me now, essentially? You know what I mean? That's something you don't think about within that moment as a parent because you're like, cool, I'm just making sure my kids are well fed. But sometimes you're like, this could also fuck them up. So they're well fed. Now they're fucking psychos.
No, but you know, I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying I don't agree, but I feel like with our parents, and I think we've said on the podcast before about affording your parents grace.
Yeah. Because they didn't grow up in the way we did.
They didn't grow up in the way we grew up. There was no, for example, like I'll give you an example of like some African parents that I know of, or like aunties and uncles. It was a case of the dads married different women. Do you know what I'm saying? If, for example, so whoever was married at the time was those kids were looked after more, if that makes sense. So, for example, if I marry wife number one's kids are priority right now because she's the wife. If I marry wife number two, and wife number two's around,
and
and I'm not around or whatever, wife number one's kids are not a priority, bro.
They're your kids though.
No, the woman, they're not my kids. They're the first wife's kids. The second wife's kids are priority for that woman in the house. Do you get it?
So, but I'm talking about you as the man.
But the man's not around to look after the house. The man wasn't around.
At work.
He's at work or doing what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
So who's at home is the woman or around. So now that woman might be making kid number one's do the chores while her kids chill.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or like,
yeah.
or she might have resentment towards kids number one's. I mean, yeah, wife number one's kids. Do you know what I'm saying? So that will build resentment in kids, the wife number one's kids, if that makes sense. And then if he marries a third wife, then she becomes favourite of the month for those kids. So you might have an environment like that where the kids are aware that like they're half brothers and why do you get the benefit of this? So there's issues growing up, but you can't tell your dad anything because that's his. Do you know what I'm saying? There's various situations.
The situation you just described is similar. So minus the kids or whatever, it's a similar situation where we were bumping heads because you're in the home, someone else, person, you know, don't particularly like you, and it makes life very uncomfortable for you, essentially. And that's kind of where the breakdown and the disconnect now comes because you're literally, and it's a difficult conversation to have. And then you say something, and for me, I was like, I wasn't happy with the reaction from the other side. It's literally like I expected you to do X, Y, Z in this situation, and you didn't.
But do you know what? Because I've never been in a situation like that, innit? So my mum hasn't dated anyone else. My dad hasn't dated anyone else, to my knowledge. So I haven't had to speak to someone like my dad say to me, "Yo, this is my new."
No, but that's different because you're not in the same house.
No, but I'm just saying, I've never even just that. What example I'm giving? I've never had that. My mum is my mum. My dad is my dad. I haven't had to meet no new partners. But I can imagine that some kids meeting their dad and then dad telling them, "Oh yeah, this is my new girlfriend or my new wife, whatever." Like show respect or show love, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I can imagine there's some kids like that.
But for me, it wasn't even that.
But I think that's different though, because I feel like if my mum or dad tells me to show respect to someone, their new partner, I have to as a kid because
No,
I've
but
got, I've got no issue. If that parent,
no, you might have an issue.
no, but I can't have an issue because
Why? You might not like the person.
Yeah, but the
way we were raised, you can't have an issue.
Yeah,
what Marvin's saying, the way we were raised, you can't have an issue.
Okay, but kids nowadays do have issues.
No, but even kids nowadays, for example, like that's like
my house.
That's like you being with Mia and you saying to me, "This is my new missus." Mia can't not like her for no reason.
Yes, she can.
She can't, bro. Because
she can't.
Brother,
If Mia comes to me and tells me, Dad, I don't like this woman for whatever.
What's the reason?
I think what you're
for
saying,
whatever reason it is, bro.
No, you can't have no. The thing is, put it this way: if for example, like this new woman,
wait.
One second. If the new woman you're seeing is being rude to me, wait, one sec, man, being rude to me or being nasty, whatever, then I can say, do you know what, Taze? I totally hear what you're saying. But if Mia from the bat is coming out saying, I don't like this woman, then that might be an issue of like her being jealous of a new woman around you. That doesn't mean that like Mia's correct for that.
No, I'm not saying Mia's correct, but for the fact that my daughter's come out and said that, the woman must be doing something.
No, not really.
Not
Bro,
particularly.
I know. Wait, hold on. Do you know what? The reason why I say that, is because I know my child. That's the reason why I'm saying that. I know my child. My child's not going to come out and say she doesn't like someone.
No, but so I think what Marvin is saying, what Marvin is saying, there are situations where some
kids tell lies.
So not even just kids tell lies. Some kids just do not like a new parent, so a new partner.
Yeah,
if someone's come in the home and you're not. And for me, I'm not going to sit there and like, because I've never dealt with it on the side of my mother. I've never had to, you know what I mean. But I would feel, and it's something we used to joke about. But I would feel some kind of way. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, and for me, I don't, and I think it will take a very long time for me to warm up to.
I've definitely said to my mum, "What, you think you're bringing another dude into this house?"
Yeah,
obviously playfully. But it's just because I've never seen my mum with someone else. Is that and also because Gets actually says it in one of his freestyles where he says, "Raw, my mum left, like my mum and dad separated, and she actually sacrificed her love life just to focus on raising the kids. Like I didn't have to deal with another man that wasn't my dad in the house."
Yeah, I know that.
It's the same as
do you remember that bar? Yeah. So what does it take for me to stop smoking weed? That's the bar. Yeah. So my mum does this sacrifice for me and I think
the
his
same
brother.
as my mum, like you described.
Yeah, like
so my mum, I think. It's only now. Obviously, she had, you know what I mean, she had a little stint with my brother's dad years ago or whatever. But like I said, but there was never another man in the house, essentially. So it's never been, hey, there's this person. And outside of that, up until my mum introduced me to someone she was trying to get to know. And, that didn't pan out. It's the only time in the whole time we've had that conversation, if that makes sense. One of those ones where you've just never experienced. And I think that's what makes it harder. So with my dad, where there was somebody from when I was younger or whatever, it was just,
And that's another conversation we don't really have. Like, mums just literally think, you know what, cool, I've got kids, I'm just gonna make sure my kids are cool. I'm not really gonna bring another man in the house. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't know what it feels like. No, whereas there's some people, their mums brought bear man in the yard.
Yeah, no, it's rough. It's rough. It's very rough. It's very rough.
Uncle Tim.
It's very rough.
Kundle.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Uncle Josiah.
And again, I'm not saying it's bad.
Man, them were driving the M25 at the age of 24 thinking, wait, hold on.
Bare uncles, bro. Bare uncles, fam. Bare uncles.
I ain't see them ever again.
Uncles sleeping in mum's room.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Your uncles sleeping in your mum's room.
I don't know what that feels like. And I'm thankful because knowing me now, brother, I would have got mad at mum, and I don't know what type of relationship me and my mum would have if that was the case. Like, I don't know, innit? So I can't speak on it.
But I think with dudes, I think the same way we feel about our mums having a new partner is probably the same way daughters feel about their dads having a new partner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
that's
cool.
What I'm saying. So remember, we're looking at it from the guy's point of view. So if I see my mum, if a guy comes to my yard, I'm like,
stepsister.
Who's
Marvin, you know what you've just described?
But if a dude comes in the opposite way, then Mia might be a bit more, when a woman comes around, a new woman comes around you, that maybe she might see you're smitten with, or like, not saying she's gonna have a problem with it, but that might be her version of ours.
Well, my dad was still with his ex-wife, bro. I think I'll never forget one time I was chilling in the living room, much younger, using the computer. My stepsister said to my stepmom, "Oh, why don't you talk to guys, or why don't you give guys time of day when they try and chat to you?" I'm thinking,
what?
Well, she's with your dad though.
She ain't reading.
Bro, she did not. My stepsister did not like me or my dad. Like,
okay,
you know, one of those.
Oh, you don't live in the same house as well?
Yeah. Bro, me and my stepsister went to the same college. She wouldn't talk to me. Like, literally, I think within the whole over 10 plus 15 years, we probably had a handful of conversations. As in, we'd go to the same college. It was funny with my brothers where, you know what I mean, I was like, my stepsister, people were like, excuse me? Like, this person, bro, would walk past each other like strangers. We'd walk past each other in the yard like strangers. Like, but it was again, so weird. Like, you know, one of those environments. How do you live in an environment like this?
You see, like, you've met siblings that hate each other.
Yeah, I know best.
I don't understand that. Like me and my sister have never had an argument. Me and my brother have never had an argument. We don't argue, bro. We just.
But sometimes
we just cut
it's like,
through.
okay, think of someone like me.
I'm just saying.
Think of somebody like me.
I know siblings that hate each other. Like,
Yeah, I know, and I find it very weird. I'm like, what?
Had swingers, had.
Bruv.
But imagine two of me in one house. It's me and my sister. So we've had times where me and my sister will bump heads.
Oh, is your sister just like you?
Yeah, worse.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? My sister, like, in terms of it's one of the running jokes. If my sister has an issue, if you think I'm bad,
Which
when I have
sister?
an issue,
Your real sister or your
my little
stepsister?
sister. My stepsister, she's a whole different kind. But my stepsister were my real sister were very similar in personality and how we do things, why we do things. So sometimes when me and my sister bump heads, it's the same. You know what I mean? It's literally imagine the exact same person having the same issue. You're like, you're not gonna give in. I'm not gonna give in. I got to a point one time when I was living with my mum. We didn't speak for like 3 weeks. We in the same house, just beefing. And you know me, bro, because I used to walk my sister's dog every day. Stop walking the dog. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm proving the point. I used to like walking the dog. Now walking up and down, I was like to the dog, I'm going to walk you soon. But we had to prove a point. It got to my point where my mum don't like to get involved, where she was like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, you just get mad stale for everyone. So imagine you have two people in the yard, Marvin. Everyone's there, and they just won't speak. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You know what I mean? But it wasn't beef. Like, you have those people that actually... despise.
No, I know.
Other.
There's something, but like, I think it's my mum. I can't
think
lie
Ross
to you.
has spoken about having, but they're step siblings. They're not in the same house. Ross, you know the rapper, where it was like because I think his brothers. I might be making this up, but I think it's something I've heard him say, where he's talking about they're you know what I mean they're ops essentially, where they're from this side and the other ones are from this side, but because they just grow up together.
But at one time, my brethren told me that Tazer, it's techie for us to leave school. I think I've told this on the pod before. It's techie for us to leave school. Yeah. I was like, why? He said he's got some beef with some youths and they said that they're coming down. I said, brother.
Is it where you say his brothers come?
No. So his older brothers come, but the youths that they're beefing, one of them's his cousin. I said, brother. Like they were at a party the other day and it was cool. But because the cousin's chosen his ends, he's come down with this youth and now they're beefing. So obviously when the older brothers come, he's like, ain't that cuz? Bust his head open saying, wait. Hey, listen. I said, yeah, you man's thing is different.
But that's what Sneakbo was saying. Sneakbo was saying that like on his side, he was one of the main guys, and then his cousin
was one of the big guys on the other side.
On the other side. So he said that the only thing that would happen is like him and his cousin weren't beefing, but if he's there, then he can allow something. If his cousin's there, he can allow something. But if they're both not there, whatever's happened is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So he was saying, it's weird. But anyway, I think back to the convos we're having. I feel like it's as I said in it, like, and I've said in the podcast before, like, we need to allow grace for our parents. But obviously grace, I think it's like forgiveness, isn't it? Because we'll talk basically, I don't want to make it too bait, but there's a group in my school, for my school year, and we got like a group chat, and one of the guys in another year passed away in it, and a couple of us heard, and then I was like, and they were like a bully in it for the year. I mean, like one of the bullies in it. So someone was speaking, and then someone said, "Oh man, I spoke to him the other day, and he was saying, like he was like a big brother to every man, and he was just trying to like toughen us up." I'm like, brother, I know man's passed, but I would have slapped if he said that, because man can't say that. Like, you would never, like, don't say that. Like, I'm like, it doesn't make sense that some people see it like, because you're cool now, doesn't mean that you didn't affect people when you were younger. So I'm saying, in terms of...
don't rewrite the story.
Brother, don't rewrite this like, you're a big brother, you weren't. Like, don't say that. So I'm saying, and why that relates to now is that, although we have to give our parents grace, we have to kind of add forgiveness in there. Because if you can't, in your head, be like, do you know what, let me give this person grace, you're not going to heal. But at the same time, that has affected you growing up. So it's a catch-22, because as Keith said, for example, and I'm sure even everyone in this room, how they've been raised has affected them to a degree. In terms of how they interact with people, their relationships, how they deal with stress, discipline, whatever. It's all shaped you. So there's been some good, there's been some bad, innit? But you have to look at it like our parents didn't have a choice when they were growing up at all. Like, it was a case of go and study and don't bring disgrace.
And bring good grades.
And don't bring disgrace in this house, innit?
Yeah.
Because even Nigerians, for example, I don't know if your mum's ever spoken to you maybe same thing in Zimbabweans, like, and then you'll hear about a cousin or a family friend. Oh, you know, he just graduated doing engineering. You know, just graduated. Like, brother, allow me, brother. Like, I'm watching. What's going on?
I remember when my cousin first got a house.
But it's always like there's always something.
A comparison.
Or even
and your parents were rich. How about they were you and they were collecting money,
bro? Matthew,
or even if your parents introduce you to someone, the first thing they'll say to you, even now, if your mum introduced you to someone, she'll tell someone about Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Like
bro, the video that went viral, I don't want to just bring it up again, but hit the auntie group chat. Man, auntie's messaging my mum, is this what your son is getting up to? My mum just like, face your front, man.
Please, that's what you get. That's what you, well, this,
face your front. No, but but my thing is, my mum's not embarrassed. My mum's very, very proud.
That's how you know your mum loves you.
She's definitely embarrassed.
She's embarrassed. She just loves you enough to overlook it.
But I can tell you, but she doesn't care enough.
No. I can tell you,
your mum seems like the same mum my mum is, where there's so many times where she should have looked at stuff and then thought, damn, but my mum loves me so much, bro. It is what it is.
The thing is, my mum told me a story, that I'm not gonna share on the pod. I'm gonna share at a live show. I'll share at a live show.
But you're doing the same thing.
No. I'll share at the live show, But when she talked, when the video was going, when the video was going viral, she obviously called me. She's like, "Do you remember the time?" And then she started telling me. I was like, "Mum, you've never told me the story." But I was dying. But I'll leave it for our next live show.
I was in Burger King and there was no tissue.
You're dumb. But I was gonna read a few tweets that people have
about KSI.
Yeah, and then we can move on. So some people are saying, bro went to private school and is now trying to play that I had a difficult childhood card. We got it. Do you know what got it, bro? You're not special.
Sorry, one sec. Do you know what it is? Let's break down each tweet, yeah? So what's that one? Just finish that one, please.
So he goes, bro went to private school and is now trying to play that I had a difficult childhood card. LOL, we all got it, bro. You're not special.
See, that's what I'm saying. So I know Keith's going to jump in because Keith went private school, so he'll be able to speak more. Yeah. But my thing is this. People believe that, like, because your
parents had money, you didn't have a
your parents had money or whatever, your privilege or whatever. Ultimately, what we're speaking about is nothing to do with money. Because he's saying you didn't show me affection, you didn't show me love.
Affected me my
so really and truly, if you got money, like they've had kids that like their dad can pay for tennis lessons, all these after school clubs, whatever, but dad's not around or the mum's not around. The kid wants love, and there's kids that are in single parents or two parents homes that the parents are working. They didn't show love either, so. The common denominator is
the
no
kid
love.
ain't even complaining about the monetary things.
Yeah,
Think about it. He's not complaining about we didn't have this or this. The dude is saying, I didn't have love. And for me, I genuinely, and like we said, I get it from both sides because our parents didn't have certain luxuries where they've come over here. And, we've said it before. Your parents have come from Nigeria, Zimbabwe or whatever, where they were very well respected where they come from. They've come over here and they've got 22-year-olds. Calling them by their first name, going to work, just being violated and still having to work, still having to graft, still having to do things. You know what I mean?
Bro, I come from a household, a two-parent household. Mum, dad was there. Obviously, dad used to travel a lot because of work and stuff. And mum had 5 kids. And my sister said to my mum, kind of made her cry, to be fair, but my sister was just being honest. She was like, when you say love, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, the first time I saw like a loving family was when I watched my wife and kids. I didn't feel love in my house. I just felt like we were just raised.
No, see, but the problem with that is...
we have a different version of what... Our parents, like, for them, I think what their version of love is we have this.
Putting this on your back and put roof on your head.
So literally for them, it's literally like for their parents, when you grow up in... I think we may have spoken about this, but where there's struggle and survival, where you kind of live in a survival type of situation. So when you're living in survival mode, essentially, like, it's literally, if your parents can give you 3 square meals, that's love. Because, like, you have no idea what I had to do for this 3 square meals, essentially. So, and that's why I to a certain degree, I give, that, okay, I'll give you a certain bit of room simply because of where you've come from, what you've had to go through. And and now, because remember, we've said this before, our parents moved to this country as grown-ups. So they did grow up in this country in the way we did.
But the thing is, I'm sorry to cut you, Keith, you say they moved as grown-ups. Brother, they technically weren't,
Say that again?
Like you said, our parents moved here when they were grown-ups. I'm like, technically they weren't.
No, my mum moved here when she was 21.
But that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So that's different. So my dad was in his 30s.
Oh, okay.
So it's different. So my dad is, 50 something. So my dad, would have been in his 30s. So for him, he's reached that. So he would have been our age groups.
My
You know
mum-
what I'm
my
saying?
mum-
So think of now Marvin moving to a different country and having to change completely.
My mum
I
had,
get- yeah,
my mum
because
had the
remember,
Angela Bassett trim when she came here, boy. You know the hair's just bare bouncy and that. My mum
Sheila
look
got a
like a
groove
spice.
back.
Look,
Sheila
I
got a
lie.
groove
Remember
back, Craig.
curly perm. That's what they call it, curly perm still. Remember the curly
You know what I'm
perm?
saying? My dad's hairline was winging from early though.
What's it called? Soul glow.
You're dumb. Now I went to Jericho.
Run
it was
your
like
fingers through some
let
calf.
You know what I mean? It must have been. It must have been hard still, because when they were getting their hustling, obviously, I think my mum used to work in Budgeons. I don't know if you remember Budgeons, and then she moved to Tesco. And my dad was a taxi driver, and then obviously he got into his life of like.
And it's difficult for
hustling
you to
and
be
that.
talking sideways, and like you don't understand what fucking customers have had.
Yeah.
Man are talking shit. Your mum's working at Tesco all day, and people
Man
are
are
talking
calling
shit.
me-
And then you want to come out here and add on to it.
Man are calling me darky.
It's rough still.
And
Calling
remember,
me-
that's the-
Sambo.
No,
Bro,
it's rough,
that's
it's
the
rough.
stuff they were going through, Marvin. They've got some supervisors. So think about it. Your mum's working at Tesco, and the supervisor's like, so think about it. Your mum's in the
Changing
20s
their
or
name and
whatever.
that, you know?
You know what I mean? But supervisor's probably like 20. You know what I mean? Your mum's old. And remember, with our parents, like the respect thing, someone younger than you is talking to you a certain way.
No, but the thing is, it might probably not even someone younger than you. It might be someone just remember back in the day. Think about what people are saying on Twitter or in the workplace now that's inappropriate. That someone's saying, "Oh, what food's that?" or "That smells," or "Where are you from?" Like, think about that in 2023. Yeah, imagine in the 70s or 80s.
Mad.
Brother, man must have been coming in saying, "You're right, you black cunt." Like just during the day, like, excuse me, what did you say?
And just based off the fact that you come from Africa, they just look at anything you say
Bro,
as
it
beneath.
happened-
Anything you know, they just don't
Bro,
even
It
rate it.
happened to one girl the other day. She's one of my brethren. Yeah,
And our
she's from,
parents were Af.
she's from
It wasn't even like they were us. They were Afs.
Yeah,
they were
was-
the accents. Brother, think about it though. You know, like they were Afs. That's a big thing missing out. You know, like we're thinking like we're talking about like we're born here. And we know the culture.
we're the new model.
Brother, they didn't know anything in terms of the UK. It was all new. I remember Keith said his dad came in the 30s. Our parents.
My dad moved to this country in the year 2000.
Oh, see. So,
Oh, swear.
well, your
raw.
dad moved to Ja Rule days. you
Yeah,
know?
no, literally, year 2000. I remember my dad
Ja
moved here.
Rule.
My dad moved here 2000.
Things were a bit
I
better
moved
then,
here-
man. My mum moved in 88.
Yeah, so my
Brother,
dad
my mum
moved here
moved in
2000.
Brother, my dad moved in the 70s.
See,
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
swear.
It's different.
My
Yeah.
dad came in. Basically,
How'd he get
through Germany. That's the same thing your dad done, isn't it?
I can't remember how my dad got.
Yeah, you said
No, because there was bare. No, I can't
Oh,
remember
your
how my
dad
dad
came
got
from
it.
Ireland or Germany. One of the
No,
two.
no,
Ireland,
no,
Ireland,
Ireland, no,
that
the
I had to
Ireland
close
thing.
it. I had to close it. That plug.
They closed it. They closed it.
Baby
No,
orange stick.
because Ireland. Well, no, because remember the UK used to do it. Where
Yeah,
you could have
yeah.
the kids here, you get a British passport. Then the UK locked it off, and then everyone used to go through Ireland.
I had the
Nah,
island thing got
my
locked
dad
up.
came from Germany, but my mum came here when she was. I think my granddad brought her. My mum came in when she was like 7 or 8. But my dad came here when he was like 18, 19, around that age. So
That must have
imagine
been
like,
rough.
brother, my mum went to Liverpool first, but I could have been a scouser, bruv.
Oof.
Oh, that's where your mum started.
Yeah, my mum started in Liverpool.
My dad,
So all
my
my
dad
aunties-
started out there as well.
All my
over there.
aunties and uncles have
No, we've always
not
been
all
in-
of them, but some of them have got like a proper
No, we've always been
Stephen
in.
Gerrard accent, bro.
Oh, we've always been in Northwest. The funny thing is, my mum had first yard was in. I think she was sharing my dad's sister in Cricklewood, and then when they got their yard, it was first in GP. And funny enough, when I got older,
GP Olders, yeah?
no, I would have been in GP. But imagine GP and the area that I actually grew up were beefing. So it would have been like where Daps is from. I would have grew up in that estate.
I swear.
Yeah. But then I think that when they finally got their own place, they moved to Mitchell
But you
Brook.
forgot the tweets.
Oh yeah. So another tweet. Next time we're having conversations about women's mental health and the males want to start with the what about us tomfoolery, I will direct them to this video. There's a man opening up about his trauma and it's other men that are ridiculing him. Hopeless species. Obviously a woman tweeted that.
But that's what I'm saying. But then I think that it's weird though, because remember there's a narrative, yeah, that African dads were bad and whatever. But I feel like as parents in general, African parents had a way that they worked. Like the stories, when you speak to most African people,
Same stories.
the
Similar
stories
stories.
very similar. Like as in, and again, remember your parents are coming to a new land.
Yeah.
That
Give them some room.
you got to give them some wiggle room, but at the same time, it's a hard one. It's like a pendulum, innit? Because you give them wiggle room, but at the same time,
They
as
know-
kids, it's affected you. So as a kid, if you're affected by something, you can't just be like, all right, it's happened.
You're like, I get why you're this way, but I'm not going to pretend it didn't have an effect on me.
Also, you got to remember, our parents would have known what, because some of the black people that came here would have spoken out, and they would have seen what happened to that person. So when they're seeing their kids speaking out, for example, they're like, tone it down a little bit, because in their mind, the trauma is when Auntie Shola or whatever spoke out at work, fired. At home for 2. Do you know what I'm saying? So their response, their like knee-jerk response to like wanting to react or wanting to speak up at work is not there.
And the
Whereas
thing is,
we
you know
have
what?
it.
Another thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, is another thing that we speak of, we don't speak on, but I think we've spoken on. So, you know the witchcraft angle. So I'll give you an example. So I have a cousin, grew up with her, whatever, so grew up living with her mum, her dad, whatever, when I was back in Zimbabwe. So her dad died when she was younger, then her mum eventually died. And she became very rebellious and so on and so on. And it became the spirits of God. You know, one of those ones, she's been bewitched, she's this. So that's why a lot of things without parents as well. So they grew up with that mentality of when certain things, you know what I mean? When you're moving a certain way, it's literally somebody, you know, one of those ones, Tazer, like, Tazer's behaving this way, not because he's got an issue with whatever. Somebody is, you know what I mean, casting the spirits. It's why you're talking like this, Tazer. It's the spirits. Of whatever. You. So literally with her, but when we look at it from the angle of over here, it's literally, you know, you can see that's somebody that's going through something. You lost both parents, you know what I mean? And you're gonna react in the way that, bro, but for them, bro, they were like, you know what I mean? She's rebellious, you know, she needs prayer, you know what I mean? They brought in witch doctors, that's back home. They brought in all sorts, bro, and all it is literally like, when we look at it now from the perspective we have, it's like,
hey, do you know what that reminds me of?
No. She just needed a cuddle.
No, look, Marvin, like it sounds as trivial as that sounds. That's it.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Because she's just lost both her parents.
Do you know why? Not why that's funny, but it's making me laugh in the sense of, I remember when we went to Nigeria, and we went to go stay with my dad's mum. So we've gone to Ibadan. I'm talking about the village, We're staying there for a couple of days, But obviously I grew up here, so I know what constipation is. They don't know what constipation is over there. This guy just needs fiber. But the way my nan was whipping my brother, to be like, if you need to go toilet, go toilet. Like, what is your problem? He said his belly's hurting. She's like, let it go, then. He's like, I can't, my belly's hurting. She's smacking him because he doesn't want to go shit because his belly's hurting. But obviously, now that I look back and think about it, I'm like, this guy was just constipated. And you know when they bring you, what's that water called again? Jelly water.
Yeah, jelly.
Brother, that thing there. Have you tasted it before?
No, I heard that clears you immediately, bro.
You can smell it,
Trap door.
Bro, every time my mum and dad used to go to Nigeria, they'll bring the bottle and they say, listen.
With bare wood in it.
Yeah, you're not going to eat sweets, you're not going to eat whatever you want. The moment you not complain about constipation, go and drink that water. Bro, you drink that, it's flushing. I don't know what is in it, but it has to be illegal. It has to be. What? I think I've drank it twice. That thing tastes.
I never drunk that.
But I had to. My belly, you know, my belly's been finished from early, you know.
Yeah. But no, Marvin is right. We have to think about the stuff our parents went through growing up. You know what I mean? How their parents were. Because like I said, a lot of parenting is also based on, you know what I mean, how their parents were, the people around them, aunties, this, that. And you know what I mean? All of those things have an effect on how they then parent. So if they came from a situation where, and remember, so growing up, they probably had a lot of tough love because back then you had to be tough. You know, all this, like, nowadays I think we take for granted the fact that we can speak on mental health and stuff like that. But back in the day, bro, you did not have that luxury. Your dad couldn't come home, Marvin, and he's talking about he's depressed. Depressed, we need to eat. You know, anxiety, you need to figure that shit out. Think about it. Your dad's a taxi driver. Imagine your dad said he has anxiety, Tazer, and you know what I mean? You better figure that out and drive that taxi, or he doesn't like being around people.
Every time I said I was bored, my mum and dad's response was, there's plates in the sink.
It's true, though.
Go and watch it.
It's true, though.
Once that's done, you still bored? Yeah? All right, go hoover the house. Oh, my days. Hoover, and you can't back, once they tell you can't back out.
No, but why are you backing out? Your parents told you to do something.
No, but they only told me to do it because I said I was bored. So now I learned not to say I was bored anymore.
Don't be fooled. That hoovering would have still been asked to do at some point.
No, at some point, but I'm talking about in this moment now.
So don't let them fool you.
So you couldn't.
It was a choice.
You couldn't be idle. You couldn't be idle in my house. You had to be doing something, whether it's your reading. So that's why when MSN came about, oh my God, your dad ain't to do coursework. I couldn't use the computer. What? I'm on MSN chatting.
But the problem with that,
to the point where I turned the screen,
they put the computer in the living room. You're in the middle of.
I'm sitting right by the TV, bro. I had to turn, bruv, there's many times I turned the screen and what kind of work you doing at that angle? Mum, don't worry. When they walked over, you changed the tab. Do you remember when
I know which one, control out whatever Windows, and you could
but you needed
collapse every tab.
Yeah, but you needed there was an add-on that MSN had. I think MSN Plus or something. So you could just press Control Tab and it will hide the whole MSN. But you have to make sure you had coursework in the back. One time I done it, there was 2 lines. I've been on the computer for 2 hours. My coursework had 2 lines. My mum said, "Wait, hold on. You started with 2. What have you been doing?" Research. Hey, you struggled, you know.
That's why I tell people should have had Chat GPT back then. It would have done all your coursework for you. You lot ain't checked it out, have you?
No.
You lot ain't checked it out. Because I put Brent onto, it's the AI, Marvin. When I say if we had Chat GPT growing up, the way it would have done man's coursework, like there's so many things. When I say it came out in November, yeah? Between now and November, the amount of things I've used it for, yeah?
Wait, how does it work though?
So it's an AI. So think of it.
Sorry, one sec. Did you finish the tweets though?
I mean, there's 3,000 tweets. I can read one that's a positive one before we move on. 1 second.
We'll talk about the AI after.
This guy tweeted, "Sending love to black men. It's okay to speak on the abuse you experienced. Reject the normalization of it. It was not normal, and it would never be normal for anyone to put their hands on a child."
But you know what's mad? Sorry to cut you, Keith. Do you know what's mad as well though? Even like, think about it, yeah? If in 2023, whenever a dude talks about anything trauma related, or a dude talks a particular way, it's kind of shut down, or he might be called sassy. Remember the thing the other day, the show with Vivica Fox?
Oh yeah, and the brother was talking about,
and the brother was saying that he's grown up.
He's grown up harsh, and the mum was like, "I gave you everything," kind of thing, and he's like, "Yeah, but there's cool." But what happened was, I think the mum was going to work, and he was the eldest out of the kids. So what happened is the responsibility fell on him. So he was just like, I had to grow up too quickly. So I'm depressed. Mum's like, what are you depressed about? You've got everything. And the panel are all women. And Vivica Fox is the lead. And she's just like, well, your mum gave you everything, so what are you complaining about?
He's like, what? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, brother, you can see that this child has had no childhood. Like, from after school, he's picking up his brothers. He weren't really allowed to go out with his peers, whatever. But I think, you know, one of those ones where like your peers see you as being spoiled. So when you go around your peers, they're like, "You're spoiled, man.
Your mum gave you everything.
You're not hood enough, or you're not around. You can't be around the man."
You didn't struggle, basically.
Yeah, you didn't struggle. But
And
then
like,
at the same time, you're seeing that both. So he was depressed, but then the panel were like, they're not understanding what he's saying. Whereas I guarantee, if that was a woman speaking to her dad about it, the panel would have been a bit more understanding. So I'm saying maybe that's why some dudes don't speak. Because remember, imagine if you're not speaking now, you ain't gonna speak in the 70s. Who's listening to you in the 70s?
You ain't got time to speak, yeah.
Like, no African dads here, like, what, you couldn't ring your granddad and be like, yeah, I'm a bit depressed. Are you mad? Boo, boo, boo. It's done.
Boo, 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 you know.
They're not even brother. There's nothing to talk about. Remember as well.
Or they'll tell you go pray, go church.
No, that's...
That is true as well. A lot of, like, all your problems will be solved. But it depends on what you believe in, innit? Faith, innit? But
it can go too far sometimes. Remember that I told you guys about the pastor we had on the documentary, when we did the mental health documentary. But we had to film with him twice. Because at first, he said what he said. So we're like, let's go back, because, you know what I mean? Let's give him the chance, you know what I mean? Like, it was that day, maybe we misunderstood what he said. He said it again. So he's basically, this is what made what he said. So basically, this guy's a pastor.
Yeah.
And he was like, basically, he's never experienced mental health issues because he follows the word of the Lord to a T. And for me, I like to look at, and we like to look at what that means. So for me, it's like, cool. So if somebody says, I've never experienced mental health issues because I followed the words of the Lord to a T, what that means is, if you have, it's because you're not following this, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What then happens with most people is they don't ever want to speak about it because it feels like I've done something wrong. Yeah. I don't want to be the person that speaks about this because it means if my pastor has never experienced this and he lives by the word of the Lord, you know what I mean? So I'm doing something wrong.
Also, yeah, and on the flip, on the flip side,
that's how you see it.
If I'm experiencing something, it means I'm, yeah.
So I don't want to speak about it because now I'm admitting that I'm not living to the. But do you know what made what he said worse? Do you know what he did for a living? He was a mental health nurse. His day job. So you can see why we were like, and that's why it was like, are you sure you want to say this? When it came out, the people were like in his church complained and he complained. You know, it's like, no, I didn't mean it like that, because I think loads of people said it. But for me, it was like, you do what for a living? He was a mental health nurse. So it's literally for me,
conducting his
brother. So at work, he's probably looking at these people thinking, you fucking degenerate sinners.
No, but I hear what you're saying. But I was an Arsenal fan. I used to work at Southampton Football Stadium. But it was a job, brother. You think I didn't care about
But I
Southampton?
hear you. So that's why I thought it
What are
was
you
really.
talking about? How did you make that association?
No, but I
Because
hear you know, it's like for the other
I
team,
worked
innit?
somewhere I didn't believe in, I didn't care about. It's P, innit?
Nah,
But for him, no,
not
and I
mental
thought it
health
was.
though, bro.
No, for me, I thought.
That's what I'm saying, because the parameters, the mental health and Southampton football team, yeah, I get you. Like, it's not the same. Like,
No, because you're basically saying you're in an establishment where everybody in here is suffering from mental health, and you're looking at it as the only reason you lot are suffering is because you're not following the Lord's word.
No, he's looking at it like, I'm going to get paid.
Yeah.
That's what he's looking at it like. At the end of the 25th of the month,
About.
I'm getting paid. So
There's definitely other jobs that you could do.
And that's why I feel like you should have done something
I'm
else.
coming here to do the bare
But I remember a
minimum.
lot of our parents came here to do, and they ended up being nurses or this, and he just ended up where he was. But I feel like what made it even more dangerous where he was. So think about it. He's a pastor, right? Yeah. And he's a mental health nurse. So when he comes back to work, a lot of people take everything he says on mental health more serious because he's a mental health nurse. And then the message he then puts out is, you know, bro, like, you know, his prayer and stuff. And I had to say to this brother, like, nigga, you can't pray away schizophrenia.
Bro, it's like
You
that,
know,
right?
depression is one of those things where you're like, you get to a point with depression, Marvin, where I'm going to get to a point where I feel better. With schizophrenia, you know what I mean? If you ain't on medication and them things, that it ain't going away.
It's like
you
that-
can pray all you like.
It's like that pastor
He's there.
in America. I can't remember, Mike something. Remember he was doing his service and then he spat on his finger and
Oh,
he rubbed it on the man's grill. Brother, I would have banged. Listen, I'm not even being rude, but pastor would have held smoke. What do you mean you spat on your hand and rubbed it on my eye?
It's a matter of, see what I'm saying?
No.
Do you know what? That's when faith is too blind.
Yeah. You know, like,
That's Stevie Wonder faith. The moment I'd have been like,
I would have
no.
took 2 steps back
I
because
would
it's
have been
like,
like, but I would have done cameo on that stage.
I said it was
Candy. That would have stepped back, brother. You're crazy.
Okay, I see you spat. Where's this going? The way your hand bowed
Because
and
you know
banged
you,
in
bro,
his
you
hand.
know-
They had to have done a run through though.
What do you mean?
No. There wasn't no run through. Bro, he
There
did
was
that on something.
rehearsals, kid.
No, there wasn't no
He caught the
rehearsal.
spirit.
That person did not know. You know what I mean?
He didn't know it was coming,
that
bro.
That person didn't know it was coming, bro. Because you would have had to put man in a, you know what I mean, the redneck control code, bro.
Brother.
What?
Spit on your hand and... No.
It was what?
All right, but to wrap up the KSI's topic, yeah. Like I said, I've got a daughter. I don't see myself hitting my kids. I don't think that is a method.
If I say I don't see, like, and I know you mean, for me, like, I can, you know what I mean, say with my chest, I will not hit my kids simply because I just don't believe in... I say everyone has their reasoning for doing it. You know what I mean? Fair enough. If you think it works, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I know bare man that used to get beat on when they were kids, and their man are fucking degenerates of the highest order. So for me, like, it doesn't work. That's my opinion. So that's just something I will never do. I feel like for me, I would have reached, if you find yourself hitting Mia, don't you think you would have like, damn, I've reached a point of mad frustration and I've dropped the ball somewhere.
Yeah, because I see it as I can't communicate. Like I can communicate with my child, innit? I can tell her that, listen, this isn't cool, this is cool. Like we talk in it, and I just ask her like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And she'll just tell me.
And the reason I don't hold it against a lot of our parents
They didn't
is
have
simply
that.
because that's how they were taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, I know better. That's what I have available.
you know
to
better,
me
do better, man.
Is I know better. Like my mom has. I think my mom's only ever slapped me once in my life, and she was frustrated. And I get it. She bought me a pencil. You know, one of those expensive pencils. You know, the black and red ones. And bear in mind, it used to be, I forgot what the company, Stedler or whatever. Black and red.
shit.
Remember, you
Yeah,
remember the
yeah,
company.
yeah.
The pencils.
HB or something.
Yeah, HB might have been that
The
one.
HB is the grade of the
Yeah, that's what I'm
pencil.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
say-
oh
you
yeah,
say it on the
but they
side.
have black and red lines on
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah, I
So
remember
it's
there
literally a red pencil.
was yellow and black. and
Yeah,
there
but this
was-
was red and black, so it was a really expensive pencil. And at the time, so bear in mind, we're living in Zimbabwe. My mum's just going all out, and I don't know, bro. Like, you remember, you've been in school 2-3 days. I come back and the pencil's like this. Bear in mind, the pencil's this long when you stop. I come home with a pencil this long. All right, bro, she lost it. That's the only one time essentially. But for
That's
me,
mad, because in my school, them pencils.
Stedler.
That's the one,
In
innit?
my school, the cupboard was full of them, blood.
no, but for us, you
This
have
is
to buy your
Zimbabwe.
own.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's mad, because like in my school, you could open the drawer and
And
there
there's
was
bare
bare
right.
of them, bro.
You could buy
Yeah.
36 was for £8.95.
With
blood.
us, it was way more.
Yeah, but that's over there,
over
though,
here.
the exchange
Over
rate.
there, bro, exchange rate.
Exchange
was-
rate, they
bro,
say
I
go
got
again.
nicked when
That's
I
a
was.
ward like that. You get me? That's a stack. Going to the shop like a strip club.
The first time I
Let me
was
get-
I was wearing pencils like a necklace, you know?
bro, not really. The first time I ever got nicked, I was under the age of 10 and I'd stolen, you know, a clutch pencil. You know, clutch pencil, click.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
yeah,
got
yeah,
the thing
yeah,
as you
yeah,
flick
yeah.
over. It's
The
first thing-
mechanical ones.
Yeah, it's the first thing I
They
ever
were
saw.
shit, man.
So I stole it from. The place
But,
would have been the Zimbabwe's version of
If you
W.
drop
Smith.
that once, toast.
Yeah, because everything is
Because once you lose one, no, because once you
just
lose,
broke, 'cause
because once you lose one of those things, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
because you
but
need
once
all
it
of it.
breaks, the
Do
tip
you remember
will
that
fall
fat
out.
pen? Do you remember the fat pen that had bare different colours?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
Shit
And
pen
you-
as well,
Nah,
man.
that was a game changer.
You
Though.
couldn't write properly though. The
Because
thing's
it's
bare
because
wide,
remember,
bro.
because
You
the thing
could
is so
write
big.
properly.
Things big like a glizzy, bro. Hey, yeah.
Hey, settle down. Hey, yo.
Hey.
That pen was a bad boy pen.
Nah, man.
What?
No, it was a bad boy pen in terms of having it.
Yeah,
but using it.
was
Nah,
long, bro.
man. Do you know what it is? Maybe because I'm more artistic, innit? So, yeah, because I'm more artistic. No, the thing is, yeah, so for example, when I used to write in primary school, whatever, secondary school, yeah, I'm the type of person that would like do a title in black, underline it in red. Do you know what I'm saying?
Ruler and that.
And then,
You're way too much up on
and
your
then
head.
sometimes
I
like you know the
You
first
call it
letter
talent,
about
I call it too much
What,
time.
the calligraphy thing?
that was crazy, but like, it's a capital M. It might be another color. Like, but what? But
But you're moving like them olden days.
do you know
bro.
what? It was so mad, yeah. That
Used to
even
use a leaf
my teachers just say, yeah, that like Marvin's presentation is mad, but like we want him to like.
When your first letter's once
no,
upon a time.
Can he work like faster? But like the presentation's banging. Then they got to the point where like they used to wind me up. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what is. So then I just started to write mad quick, but it's all in capitals.
What?
Yeah, but that was mad. But I used to write all in capitals, bro, uppercase. Like, my whole work when I was younger used to be uppercase.
You get in trouble for that?
No, because it wasn't about punctuation then. It was about like whatever. But then after a while, if I had to, I would do it. Even my exams, like apart from English,
That's because you lot had it nice over there.
apart from English, where I had to thingy, but science, whatever, you're not graded on.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
capitals were.
In Zimbabwe and
that's why I
Nigeria,
can work
Marvin,
quick.
they would have beat that out of you.
Yeah, it's true.
My mum was left-handed. My mum can now write with both hands. But they beat the left hand out of her, bro.
Oh, is that cane that they used to beat in Nigeria as well? Yeah,
Bro.
that thing hurts.
I'll
man.
never forget in school when I got clapped one time. My parents were gonna sue the shit out of the school. That's after, my dad had come to this country. That's when he came with all of that talk.
Man
But
learned about
before-
sue, you know.
brother. When we went to school, I will never forget.
Man said, "Shut up."
Bro, the way they used to, the way niggas used to get caned during assembly. I'm talking about. Imagine Marvin at your school during assembly. You got to get down in front of everyone. Just imagine that.
I know, but I hear you, but it's a different place.
That's
I
traumatic,
know,
man.
but imagine during
But is
assembly.
it traumatic though?
It is though. You see,
It's not.
watching the next child get beats.
It's not traumatic, bro.
By the way, it's totally off topic.
Remember with Ardy when we were talking last week,
Yeah.
and you said about his mum being Superwoman, but because that was his norm, he didn't realise.
Yeah.
Most men in that assembly, that's their norm. Man getting licked in school, that's normal.
In front of everyone.
It's normal.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
no,
It's-
it was
it's-
normal at the
it's-
time.
It's only when you come out of Zimbabwe and you come here, you're like, Jesus, what were we
No.
living in?
Like,
That was
and
normal.
that's literally for me. That's what. And I guess for me, I wouldn't say privileged, but you know what I mean. Some of the nicer schools I went to, that wasn't happening. So when I went to that school, for me, that was the first time I experienced that. So when I was looking
do you know
around,
what?
Marvin, it was like, yo, let
Do you know
them
what,
niggas
Mom?
do.
You're
what?
right. Because I remember the first time I went to my boy's house, Caribbean, and he spoke back to his mum. I was rattled.
Yeah, people are gonna get onto you still because
Why?
on the TikTok or something and a few comments, I've seen people saying, I don't like the way these men act like West Indians didn't have no discipline or whatever.
Nobody I didn't say that.
I didn't say
Well,
no,
they will try it.
Can I speak my truth, please?
cool, but I'm just saying,
They will
like,
try it.
just to address some of those people, because some West Indian people are saying that growing up, some of our parents were very similar to African parents in terms, in terms of discipline.
And
So
then there's some that weren't. No,
I hear you, but I feel like some people are saying that the narrative seems to always
they need to go. They need to worry.
lax.
They need to worry about that then, because when you lot were calling us with dry feet and uncles and all that, we had to firm it. But cool. I used to go to my brethren's house, Caribbean, and the way he used to talk back to his mum, I was just like, I don't feel comfortable. I want to leave now, because now your mum's gonna start thinking I exhibit the same behavior, and I don't. And these men couldn't come into my house. What? You see my dad? He will slap you. It doesn't care if you're not his child. You're rude in his house, you're holding licks as well.
But we come from
But
a
it's a
place.
different time though, because I feel like but even that.
No, back then.
No, but even nowadays, it's a different time now. Because
You
for
can't slap
example,
people's kids.
Yeah, like for example, like when I
No,
was,
obviously now.
No,
obviously-
no, but I'm saying when growing up, for example, even discipline. It's not even just slap. Like back in the day, your auntie or another uncle, or even one of your
could discipline you.
or even one of your mum's brethren
Could discipline you.
could actually could not shake you, but be like, behave
Hey,
yourself.
yeah.
Now, if one of your brethren does it to Mia, like, and you hear about
fisting him up.
But that's my point, though. But that's why they say this whole. It's a weird. It's very weird because
No,
they
but
say,
do you know why? Do you know why?
One second. That's why they say it takes a village to raise a child, innit?
Back then, not now.
No, but now, brother, that's why the world's in a mess now.
It's not. It's not.
It is, brother.
No,
the world's finished now, bro.
No.
Brother, the world. But remember,
Okay, I understand what you're both saying.
What I'm trying to say to you is this, innit? My thing is this here. I'm not saying that you give someone the authority to slap your child.
But you need to let people be able to
regulate
your
child. For example, if you go, if Mia bunks school, God forbid, and I see her on road, I should be able to go up to her and say, Mia, what are you doing outside of school?
Yeah, what's that got to do with shaking her?
No, I didn't. No, you don't get what I'm saying. Not shaking.
Some people
her,
don't want that. Don't you dare talk to my fucking kid.
But as in, like, I should be able to come up to her and say,
Mia,
what is
that's
this?
fine.
Like, blah, blah, blah. And then even if she cries or whatever because of how I've spoken to her, not in a rude way. Like, remember, some kids can go back to you and say, Uncle Marvin came up to me today, and you're like phoning him and like, brother, why are you talking to my...
Let me give you.
Back then, they could slide tackle you, and Marvin was like, you probably deserved it.
Let me give you.
If he slide tackled you, it was probably.
Let me give you a real life example, yeah, because this happened. So me and Mia, when I took her to Lapland, it's like Santa's land, and you do all this.
Man, I know what Lapland is,
I'm explaining for people listening, bro.
Man, grew up with Lapland, bro.
I'm explaining to those listening.
Did you actually go to Lapland?
Yeah. I drove out. It was like, I can't remember where it was. It was like about an hour drive, like past. It was out of London, basically. Okay. The whole like drink mulled wine and all of that stuff. You meet the elves and you go through this island. Proper. You meet Santa. So there was a part where we went to go eat. Yeah. Huh?
Is it nice?
I didn't drink wine. I'm just saying people were doing that. I didn't do that
before. I don't like it.
So I went with my bridge and her daughter.
Yeah.
And then we went to go eat. So there's a part in the middle where you go ice skating and you can eat. So we went to eat first, yeah. And then I was like, because they're kids, I think, obviously Mia's 9. Her daughter's called Mia as well, actually. But I think her daughter's like 7. But I was like, let's sit inside. And then her daughter was like, no. The way Mia looked at me, as in my Mia looked at me, yeah, to be like...
Yeah, I told you like that. And you know the point?
No. Then I go, she's not talking to me. She's talking to her mum. She ain't talking to me. She's talking to her mum. And then her mum was like, why did my Mia react like that? I'm like, because Mia would never talk to me like that. She just knows. It's not even an intimidation thing. It's just, there's no need to be, well, Mia saw it as it was being rude. But I was just like, she's a child, she's just playing about in it. But the way my Mia reacted was like, raw. Like she would never do that. It would more be like, no, daddy, can we sit outside kind of thing. Like, it's just, everyone's different in it. But I didn't approach that situation in any way, shape or form. It was just funny to see the difference between the two kids based on, obviously, their upbringing, whatever. But Mia was shocked, like, raw. She took do that.
But the thing is, they say, I was watching something the other day and they were saying that kids up until the age of 7 are like sponges, innit? So whatever they see, they imitate, they copy. So, for example, at a point in time, I'm not saying that child might have said no to a parent, and it might not have been like a bad boy thing. It might have just been like you know, like some things where like a kid will say no and some parents laugh. It's funny, brother. You don't know what you're doing there, bro. Because that you laughing now and it's cute and whatever, it's cool, but the kid's gonna grow up and be like, I can say no, it's cool.
That's like when you're waiting for your child to start talking, yeah, and you encourage them to start talking. And then it gets to the point where it's like, your child don't shut up. And he's like, shut up, man. He's like, but hold on. You were encouraging this child to start talking. Now they've started talking, they don't stop talking. You're upset. Like, which one is it? Which one do you want? Like, come on, man. But some parents, I've seen parents lose it. And in my mind, I'm just busting up. Because I've never had to lose it with Mia. I think I'm fortunate enough. They're just, like, yeah. See, you're 2 steps away of beating your child, you know. You better relax.
I think it just and I think it just depends as well. I feel like, as I said, remember, I think you said the benefit of communication. Like, our parents didn't communicate with us.
Yeah.
So we grew up, our mode of parenting was be seen, not heard. That was our mode, innit? Whereas a new mode is be seen and heard, because we're trying to do better than our parents. Also,
the world's a different place now. Back in the day, we could play out, bro. Like, we could actually play out and your mum and dad can't see you. Like, I remember when I used to play out when I was younger. My mum didn't know. It wasn't a thing where she's looking out the living room window and she could see me. We were actually playing out at 11, 12, 13, and it was cool. By 8 o'clock, you're home. I wouldn't trust Mia to go out.
Yeah, it's mad now, innit?
There's no way.
Because back in the day, brother, I used to go missing. As in, like, I said to my dad, I'm going out. And he'd be like, yeah, cool, I'll get on my bike.
You just
like,
cut
during
out.
the summer holidays, 1 p.m., But I'm gone for hours.
Yeah, you just come over, you come
if
back.
someone took me away, I could have been in Ipswich. I could have been anywhere, bro. But the thing is, in them days, it's weird.
different.
Like I know there were abductions in them days.
No, but
There must have
but you
been.
knew who though.
No, but in them days,
It wasn't like how it is now.
but I think, brother, it must, brother. There was hella murders then. But remember, we didn't know. But I feel like like this whole thing where like murderers and people see it's possible and it gives them an idea to do it. It might be that. Then now man are like, right, you can kidnap. Right, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Because back in the day, it's like I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
Think about it though. Now it's just like maybe the news is hypersensitive that like.
Probably because I didn't hear about paedophilia as well, like stuff like that.
And it definitely go on because Jimmy Savile was
obviously,
active, bro.
obviously it go on, but I didn't hear about it. I didn't like. That wasn't a thing. You know, like your mum and dad will sit you down and be like, listen, be careful. You're out. The more be careful was like, just don't get yourself into trouble. Like, go steal it from the shops or cause. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't the conversation. Now, me, like she even asked me the other day, what age can I get a phone? I said, for what? You need a phone for? Oh, so I can let you know where I am. I said, you ain't gonna let me know where you are.
I'm gonna know where you are.
You ain't gonna let me know where you are.
Here.
Like when you're 14, I said when you hit 16, you can get a phone. She's like,
That
what?
actually brings me onto a
She's gonna
conversation.
get one before that.
Phone? No, she got an iPad.
No, I'm saying, but remember, once she hit secondary school, you're gonna give her a phone.
That's actually a beautiful segue.
Like
that you
year
just did
8, year, she's gonna get. Because remember, put it this way, there's gonna be times where like she's gonna start. What age would you let her start coming home by herself?
I don't want to think of it, man.
That's what I'm saying. So it's from that age, she really needs a phone though.
I don't want to think of that, man.
That's true.
But it's weird though because when we were coming home by ourselves, man, they have no phone, blood.
Year 7.